So I just
okay, yeah.
So here's the other thing. What it costs to trade for A.J. Brown, I think, just went up.
Went up?
What it costs to trade for him.
Oh,
because
sure.
the contract is now a better value.
Yeah.
I think my team drafting a wide receiver at 9 likelihood just went up. Because if top receivers, Patrick Mahomes makes 45. If the top receivers are making 43, then the value you get on Tate, if Carnell Tate's there, and I think getting a deal done with George Pickens just got that much harder.
I love the domino effect. I love the domino effect. I mean, this is why the Eagles always notoriously take care of their players sooner rather than later, because they understand that these deals age significantly better, and the risk is almost always worth the reward. Clears throat, yeah, though the trading for an A.J. Brown was always going to be an unbelievable value for any team. And then that's why I continue to keep emphasizing that the Eagles hold all of the power. They hold all of the power, and that patience is in their best interest and only reinforces that power. I mean, think about it. People were like, you got to get rid of A.J. Brown last season. They were saying that in the middle, you got to get rid of him before the trade deadline. And Nick himself is like, I bet you the Eagles regret it now. And it's like, and yet his stock only continues to get higher and higher and higher. The Trent McDuffie trade, the Jalen Wadd trade, the DJ Moore trade, Jackson with the Jigba extension, like all of it just keep increasing A.J. Brown's value. I mean, just by virtue, take away the sense of like what something is worth now, in terms of draft capital and whatnot, just by virtue of some of these other teams making moves, and now other teams are like, whoa, we like the Patriots are like, we got to do something. Broncos getting Wadd, Bills getting DJ, more like there's this feeling of like everyone else is getting better. Like so some of these other teams that are kind of like, we haven't made our move yet. It's only going up. It's only going up. So, it's pretty great. Pretty great for the Philadelphia Eagles. Works quite well for them. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of really interesting paths that the A.J. Brown trade or lack of trade could go. I've said this a lot, but it's because every time I post a video or any time I see any other post somewhere else, I really do continue to see 50-50 right down the middle of people are saying that A.J. is being traded. A.J.'s not. I posted that video over the weekend, obviously, clears throat, where there was like people were trying to say that like A.J. Brown has already secretly been traded, and it was like secretly traded to the New England Patriots, but it's just like not happening until after June. This is where I find something interesting, because it's like, let's say there is truth to that, but is it just kind of like, is it actually locked in where they're like, okay, it's going to be a first and whatever, and they're just not doing it yet, or is there still room to be like that, hey, the price is going up now? Like I just wonder what teams are like, we got to be aggressive. I mean, we know Denver's out in terms of making a trade for them. New England, obviously we know that's at the top of the list. Then you do start to hit some interesting teams, and this is where you kind of have to figure out the draft capital, and obviously Jacksonville gave up some capital. So you'd have to figure out what teams are willing to do to get a deal done. But Jacksonville is interesting. Houston's interesting. I think even though the Buffalo Bills made the moves that they've made, I still think it could be on the table. But it would be ultra aggressive. The money would be tough, and they would, it is obviously not low. The Chargers is definitely super interesting. Indianapolis, I think they're probably strapped for cash as well as, their own draft capital situation. Baltimore, undeniably, absolutely, positively an opportunity there. They kept their draft capital, and if they were actually legitimately seriously about going Allen, they would trade, their draft picks for A.J. Brown. I totally see that on the table. Miami, no. Cincinnati doesn't make sense. Tennessee doesn't make sense. Cleveland, Las Vegas, New York, Jets. Tennessee, again, probably not, but I could see if they were like, hey, we want a veteran wide receiver, blah 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 blah. Again, probably unlikely to happen, but I think it's a little bit thought-provoking. Obviously, not Seattle. Chicago, hard to imagine. Philadelphia, Carolina would be interesting. Los Angeles Rams were legitimately reportedly interested. San Francisco is not going to be in there. Green Bay, I don't think so. Minnesota, no. Detroit, no. Tampa Bay, now they lost Mike Evans. But I don't see why they would do that unless they actually really believe that they can win a Super Bowl. And then I'm like, alright, I guess if you want to live in your delusions there. Atlanta could make a play. Dallas obviously out of the table. New Orleans unlikely. But I guess still technically possible. And then Washington, New York, no. And Arizona again, at that point, I don't even know why you'd be giving up capital for that. So, clear's throat, it's just what I find interesting is that there absolutely positively is this huge belief specifically in the media and it's split with the fans, but with the media, it seems like they're all on board that A.J. Brown is going to get traded. And this is also from not only just, the Nick Wrights and the Brews of the world, but then also more of the people that are it's their job to kind of know some of this information like the Adam Schapters and whatnot. So that seems to be the idea. Whether it's true or not, it's not the purpose of this conversation. But what I find interesting is at this point outside of the New England Patriots, there doesn't feel like there's this high level of momentum or volume in terms of actual concrete of well, we know the Chargers and the Patriots really want A.J. Brown. That's not the conversations that we're getting fed at all. And I do find that interesting. And now listen, the Eagles notoriously move in silence, but not the other teams necessarily. Not the other teams. So it's like trying to piece it together, trying to be on that little treasure hunt there to try to figure out the truth from the fiction and all of that. Is tricky right now. And which then makes me think, and this is what's interesting, because on one side, if a deal was pretty much done behind the scenes with New England already, then other teams would know that because that's just the way it goes. And if other teams know that and right, if Julian Edelman knows it and whatnot, then other teams know that and they would say then it would be leaked out eventually. You would hear word, someone would talk to the Chargers organization, Albert Burr, whatever, and they would say, yeah, it's pretty much known that A.J. Brown's being traded to New England, and then Albert Burr would report that, he'd be like, I was talking to a different team to an anonymous GM. And you're right, and you're not really hearing any of that stuff from genuinely, trustworthy sources. And so that's another thing that I kind of find interesting, that the conversation and the energy has clearly slowed down a bit, yet everyone believes that it's happening, but it's just happening post June 1st or 3rd or whatever the date is. And so then you're going to be in a situation like this where it just keeps going up. So, yeah, I'd love if A.J. Brown gets traded, I'd really love for him to go to a team. Listen, I love to see him go to a situation where, I'd love for him to go to an Arizona. I'm not going to lie. I'd love to see him in Arizona. I'd love to see him in Tampa Bay. I'd love to see him in New York Jets. I'd love to see him in Cleveland. Oh my God. Please. Come on, man. Let's see Shader Sanders and A.J. Brown. Come on, man. Those are the things that I want to see. Okay. And the thing is I don't think Philly is going to do that unless they legitimately get the best offer there, and it doesn't feel like it will. You will get the best offer from genuine contenders. And yeah, the Denver Broncos just made a move. Raiders are up and coming. The Chiefs are going to be interesting. And so that's why then I also look at a team like the Chargers of are they going to try to take a swing here? Because if the Patriots get better and the Broncos get better and the Ravens get better and all these other teams get better, and it feels like the Chargers don't outside of their O-line getting and they lose their defensive coordinator I don't know. So, I'm just wondering, that's like the other thing in terms of like post June 1st in order for Howie, unless the Patriots already gave an awesome deal. And it really was this handshake. We're just doing it post June. We're not the Baltimore Ravens. Don't worry, we got you. And it's just one of those things. And it's just two great franchises trusting each other, which is, totally makes sense and totally on the table. If that's not the case and it's just kind of like, alright, we're leaving this kind of up in the air, then like no team is going to be then aggressively negotiating right now until after June 1st. And so then how's not going to be able to use that type of leverage to, to have teams kind of outbid themselves. And I think it's also one of those things where it's just like, if you want him before June 1st, then you better make them an amazing offer to make it financially make sense. If not, and that's what's going to be interesting then too, to figure out what happens in the draft that then also potentially has the ability to elevate or, downgrade an A.J. Brown situation. So, and it's also the benefit that people think that Jalen Hurts isn't a good quarterback, because then they're just like, well, A.J. Brown is even, look what A.J. Brown's been able to do with Jalen Hurts. You will be even better with, Baker Mayfield. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about now after with Jackson Smith and Jigba, a 4-year $168.6 million deal? This actually helps the trade of A.J. Brown even more, therefore helping the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.